Hello, my little chickadees, my little Rocky kids, my Rocky friends, and friends all over, wherever you may be listening to this. It is Sunday, and we are already in the month of August. Can you believe it? Where, oh, where did, March, April, May, June, and July go? I can't believe it's already August. We have been back in live Sunday school now for 2 weeks, and it's really going well. We're having so much fun. Anna has us doing crazy things out in the parking lot. Last week, she had us dipping a cup in water and running to the other end and dumping the water and running back, and whoever had the most water in their bucket at the end won. Oh gosh, that was fun. And then the crazy thing, for those of you who weren't there, she had us put an egg in a spoon, and you had to walk to the end and turn around and come back. And then when you got to the end, you had to give your teammate another egg, the same egg, I should say, back in the spoon and not spill it, not break it. Well, if you were there, you'll remember that one of our little guys, on the way back, he got so excited, he was going too fast, and he spilled his egg. And you know what? It wasn't a boiled egg. It was a real fresh egg out of the refrigerator. It was pretty funny. All the kids gathered around and were looking at it and couldn't believe Anna gave us a real egg to play with. That crazy girl, what are we going to do with Anna? So I imagine for today at Rocky Kids, she's going to have some more fun games for us. We talked about a football and a hula hoop. I'm not sure what she's going to do. But anyway, so last week, you'll remember our study was about a guy named Saul. He didn't like Jesus. He didn't like anybody who liked Jesus. And then one day he was walking down the road, and all of a sudden this bright light came, and he fell to the ground, and it really struck him blind. When he got up, he couldn't see. Then he went to the house of Ananias, and Ananias touched him and healed him. And when he could see, he all of a sudden believed in Jesus. And he went about telling everybody about Jesus. And it ended up that because of his great faith in Jesus, God changed his name from Saul to Paul. Now, I remember last week in Rocky Kids when I told my little group that that God changed his name. I can remember one of you were so surprised, and your eyes got big as saucers, and you were like, wow. And so we talked about that some. But now we're going to pick up after Paul has become saved, and he loves Jesus, and he wants to go and tell everybody, which you'll remember was our memory verse last week. Go tell others about Jesus. Okay, so in today's story, we're going to pick up, and Paul is going on a trip, and he has a special friend named Silas, and we're going to find out what happened to him. So guys, let me ask you this. When you get ready to go on vacation, do your parents pull out and look at a map? These days, they probably pull out a GPS. Now, when I was a kid, my mom could read maps like crazy. She loved maps. So we used to say you either needed an MAP, which spells map, or you needed a GPS in your car, or you needed an MOM, mom. Well, back in Paul's time, they only had maps. And in a minute, I'm going to show you everywhere that Paul went on a map. So we're back in the Beginner's Bible. We're in the book of Acts, which is in the New Testament. And this is in a time that follows after Jesus died and was resurrected. Paul traveled far and wide, and he taught everyone he met about Jesus. The new believers were called Christians because they were followers of Jesus Christ. Paul traveled with different helpers, and he shared the good news with everybody he saw, and he baptized many people. So here's Paul preaching, and here he is baptizing. So far his life is really good, right? Well, during his travels, he would go from town to town, and he would gather in people to meet. And that's how churches got started, because of Paul and his friends who were preaching the word of God. Now, sometimes Paul would have to walk for miles and miles and miles. Look at that. Back then, they didn't have cars or buses or trains or planes. And other times when he wasn't walking, he would take a boat across the seas, telling everybody about Jesus' love for them. Now look, this is a map of everywhere he went. And do you see all of those lines, those arrows, showing everywhere that Paul went to tell others about Jesus? And you can see up here, this started in the year 46 after the death of Jesus. So Jesus had been dead for 46 years. Well, of course, some people didn't like what Paul was doing. He was with his friend Silas, and they were both preaching about Jesus. But of course, there were people who didn't like it. So you know what happened? One day they were thrown in prison because they believed in Jesus. Well, I think if I was thrown in prison, I would be kind of worried about it. But you know what? Paul and Silas weren't worried because they knew God was going to take care of them. Well, that night, they're in prison and they're sitting in their cells. See, look at that. They have chains on them. They're sitting there, and if I remember right, they were even singing and praising God. And God sent an earthquake. And the room shook and it shattered. And it shook so hard that all the doors of the prison opened. And the prisoners' chains fell off. Can you imagine? Well, the guard thought everyone had escaped and that he was going to be in big trouble and get his head chopped off. But Paul went out and told the guard, don't worry about a thing. We're still here. We didn't escape. We didn't run away. The guard was amazed. He could not believe that Paul and Silas had been in prison and they had a chance to run away and they didn't. And the guard knew that was going to save his life. So he invited the two men to his house. And Paul and Silas met that guard's family. And they told the family all about Jesus. And that man and his family decided to believe in Jesus and follow Jesus. And the next day, Paul and Silas, they left that town to go and tell other people about Jesus. Whoops, I didn't show you my picture. There we go. Okay, so as you can imagine, our memory verse today is God will take care of me. Just like God took care of Paul in this story, God will take care of you. So we'll be learning that memory verse in Rocky Kids at 10:30 today. And we're going to have a craft. Now, I've cut up some really colorful paper. See, I've got all of these strips of different colored cardstock. Now, I'm going to show you how to make this. This is just like the chains that Paul and Silas were wearing in prison. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a strip and we're going to put glue on it. Okay, and then we're going to fold it to where the glue and that is dried. And then we're going to take another one and do the same thing, but we're going to put it in here. And we're going to put some glue on it and tape it down. And you just keep going. You may have made these at some point for Christmas trees. They make really good garland for Christmas trees. And of course, I chose purple and gold for my LSU Tigers. Go Tigers. So that's what we're going to be making. Now, before I close, I want to remind you that tomorrow we start Vacation Bible School. Guys, I've been working with Miss Anna. You are not going to believe the fun things. Most of it's going to be outside, so wear your shorts and your tennis shoes. We're going to learn about soccer, basketball, volleyball, and obstacle course. And then while we're learning all about that, of course, we're going to have snacks because you know us kids at Rocky, we like snacks. And then we're also going to learn a Bible story. And I'm going to just show you the book. It's called Heart of a Champion. And we're going to hear about some champion sport athletes that have really excelled in sports, but somewhere along the line, something happened to them. And in many cases, they use God to help them get back up on their feet again. So we're going to hear about some sports heroes, but you know who our hero is? Our hero is always God. God is my hero, and I hope he's your hero too. So my little chickadees, I hope to see you live. If not, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in Vacation Bible School. Mwah! Love ya.